Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami Sangham Sharanam
Oh yeah. Chum den de jin jaba da jumba yang da ba zo be san je ringwa da jam su den ba de wa ra je wa jik den gen ba je bo ka lo jur wa la na me ba la da me nam je dom ba san je chum den de pe ja wa sha ja du ba la Chudo jazo chao dumba, chumden de jin shaba, cha chumba, yang dangba, zobe, sanje, rikwa, dan, shabso, denba, dewara, jikden, jenba, jebu, duwe, akalo, jurwa, lana, meba, lada, menamje, dumba, sanje, chumden de, pejawa, chan, Chadzelo chudo jazo cheo tenpa chumden de deshen sheba chachumba yandaba zobe rikpa dan shazo tenpa dewara sheba Duve galo jurwa lana meba lada menam je tenpa sanje chumden de bejawa shanja doba la Chudo jazo che ho lama da gombo je zen jambe ya cha ze lo kange lo che nye chen de nye da nam da ra se we che nye deng guen che she se che nye je do ga le gua ma en zen gan da se be tse ra ma re men do mo do nye ge se we cho zo gun la po je da ze ye la zhu zhe yang de song cho da je cho nye mo nye long le je cha zhu zhe ze jen ma re me se Dong e nyo go je nye chen ze ya re de nam te ne da je sa ju da ze yen de yen de zo ja se to ge go cho da jo da cho nye gen de da lu me se jambe yang la de oma arabaza na de oma arabaza na do marabaza na do marabaza na do marabaza na do marabaza na do Omara bazanade, Omara bazanado, Mara 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 bazanado. Omara bazanado, Omara bazanado, Mara 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 bazanado, Umara bazanado, mara 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 bazanado. Umara bazana di 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 De zenden kege jara veze je dalu temu mba rabzene kadan denje shonlo doba lo zhe bobe nawa tse do se zhou zhe me do re ra len zhe nian de jian ba de san je shen do me de be wa yi zhou gun nam da shen la zhe ba ra sho nama damba ke nama je zhe gu ka la ken ze chen chen Jidara zambe duje zema la sabje shuje chawa abdo se Mendra la gana ya da ya me sanje shudan soje chona Chanju bado dane jazo che dage shuje yebe sonam anje Drola penje sanje drobara sho sanje shodan soje shonamala Changju bado dane jazo che dage sheshe yebe sonama Drola penje sanje drobara sho sanje shodan soje shonamala Changju bado dane jazo che dage sheshe yebe sonama Drola penje sanje drobara sho Oh yeah, good morning. Here and there. uh, so how was the week? Good week? Challenging week? Lots of opportunities to practice?
Small ones.
Okay. Want to share?
Well, yesterday, some difficulties changing a flat tire, and trying to maintain my equanimity in the midst of difficulties getting a tire that didn't want to come off the car. But that was not a major challenge, but I had to keep being mindful just the same.
It changes here. It doesn't change here.
It takes about 30 seconds.
Oh, I think it's more than 30 seconds. Strange, what happened? Oh, finally. Okay, now changed. Okay, anyone? Because of Shandi, there was what you call bombardment, repeated bombardment. Ken was able to change the tire without getting irritated, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the point. Yeah. Yeah, as Ken said, it's very important to be mindful. We hear all this. We listen to lectures, we read, but then when it really needed, when the time comes, we forgot. We have forgotten about it. We don't even remember. And then after all that huff and puff, then that's too late, isn't it? So that's why one technique is always from the morning, or even you are going out. One time I used to do that because I had experience at a supermarket. One time I went to, I think it's either Menard or Home Depot or one of the shops there. And I was looking for something else. And I think it was a lady. But when I asked where I can find the, what you call the lumber, those planks, First she ignored me. Then I repeatedly asked her, and it was like, there was this one is like, is like, what do you call that? Somehow she already made the judgment that you are not, or you are, what do you call, minority or something, that kind of thing, and treated so badly, and I was like a bit angry. So that incident, so for a while, of course, you forget. Before entering any supermarket or any of these shops, before entering at the entrance, I tell myself, be mindful. You may encounter all kinds of people, but don't lose your cool. So when you do that, it helps. You may not be successful all the time, but it would be better than not having that kind of resolve. So it is always important to make that resolve. Resolve not to lose. Resolve to be mindful. So when you have that, when others started an irritating a conversation, you can feel it. You can see your anger rising. When you see that, you have the option whether to back away or to really advance this.
I did experience being mindful and then realizing what you said, that it gives me time. And then even though I still got angry inside, I could choose not to express
exactly, that. Exactly. Yeah. That is the most, what you call,
first step.
First step, or the best thing, best outcome. Because most of the time we just flare up. There's no time. We come across a stimuli, whatever it is. Somebody holds some nasty remarks. We just get into rage. There is no time for thinking, shall I respond? Is it worth responding? What will happen to me? What will happen to all this? There's no time. So I mentioned before that on the one hand, it looks like, how can you have that much time? But when you are mindful, there is time. There is plenty of time. You can have that conversation with yourself. Is it worth? Is it worth me chipping in there? Is it worth correcting that person? Yeah, because sometimes you have this kind of idle gossip. You're having a chit chat, and then some people will say all kinds of things which you know that is not true. And our tendency is to kind of oppose to it, to correct it. But then, if you are mindful not to engage in all this, you will be able to ask yourself, is it really worth? Does it affect me? Let him just say whatever he is. You just listen from here, let it go from the other ears. That's it. If you are able to do that, that all one will be able to do when we are able to have that mindfulness.
So, a question came to my mind. I feel like sometimes my response would be quick and not, kind of reacting to what it is. But I feel like sometimes we have to let the person know, that's not right. So is that righteousness that you feel like you have to correct it, or you have to let it go? I feel like people don't realize sometimes what they're doing.
Yeah. So that's why in Buddhism we always talk about wisdom must accompany our action. Whatever we do, whatever we think, wisdom must. You have to ask yourself, is it going to be helpful? Or what is your intention? First, we always check. Most of the time, there is this, what you call, the I want to portray that I know. There's this ego, or I don't know, whatever it is. There is this one. That's why we cannot take somebody saying something else, because our ego comes in. So we want to correct the person. I am right, you are wrong. So if that is the intention, then of course it's going to be problematic. It will result in some trouble. Whereas if it's really out of compassion, that you really feel that the person is ignorant about this, you really want to help. So when you have that kind of intention, even when you raise the issue with the person, there won't be any anger. It will be out of compassion. So when you say anything out of compassion, most people will feel it. There will be exceptional cases, but most of the time feel it. But when you say it with ego and I'm right and all these things, others will also sense it. And then, yeah, even though they know that you are right, they don't want to agree or admit their mistake. They want to confront. So it's all about analyzing the situation and checking your motivation. Yeah.
It's like communications at the workplace. I find very easy for conflicts to arise. And I'm an egoistic person, so I just speak my mind. But I have found also, that conflicts do occur very often. So over time, after being exposed to Dharma teaching, I started to, especially emails. I am very quick with the writing emails and telling them how I feel about things, my opinion. So I'll keep it in the draft box. And just let a little bit of time, maybe half a day pass, and I look at it again. And 9 out of 10 times, I modify how I say it. It's not so much what I'm saying; it's the how I'm saying it. And I think it helps.
Yeah, I have shared your story with them. I think many times, and I think that is really good practice. Sometimes your emotion takes over, and then you just started responding. So in psychology they call it reacting. So we shouldn't be reacting, we should be responding. So when you are calm and cool, then you will be able to respond, not react, simply react, and then there'll be a problem. Yeah. Anyway, I just came across this one. This is in relation to communication. You brought up the communication. So when we communicate with people, so the psychologists psychologists, they are very good at categorizing, coming up, identifying different styles of communication. So there is something they call this ACR, active construction responding. So there are 4 kinds of responding style. Let's say somebody shared a good news. It could be your partner, it could be your husband, wife, it could be your siblings, it could be your children. So when somebody shares a good news, there are 4 styles of responding. One is passive constructive responding. So passive constructing, so you will say, oh, that's very good. But you're not really into that. You are not really your, the body language is not there. Let's say you are fiddling with the phone and somebody comes and says, oh, I got a great news, I got this job. Oh, that's very good, and then goes back. So that's what they call passive constructive responding. So in other words, they call it conversation killer. So it just kills. So there's no interest. Is that there's no much, you are not really rejoicing or really having enjoy or celebrating that news. So that's called passive constructive responding. Another style is called active destructive. So this happened to me. So this, when I listen to this and I can relate what I did, one of the monks, so he told us that, oh, I bought iPhone 13 or 12. What is the iPhone now at the moment? 14, is it? So maybe he bought the 13 or 12. So he said, oh, I bought iPhone. My first reaction was, why did you buy iPhone 13? 11 is cheapest and it has all the function. You see, that's what they call joy thief. You are stealing that joy. Instead of you started to, what do you call, listing all the cons. Instead of saying, oh, that's really good, instead of enjoying the that joyful occasion, you start to say, I mentioned that, and then I caught myself. Of course, at that time, I haven't come across these 4 styles. I caught myself, I said, oh, that's not, I said, oh, that's very good. I started, but mistake has already been made. So I stole his joy. So I am a joy thief. And then there's something called passive destructive responding or destructive style. Passive destructive, when somebody comes to you and share a good news, and then instead of saying, oh, that's great, congratulations, what are you going to do? No. He said, oh, I got something else. You started to talk about your good news. So that's called conversation hijacking. So you hijack their joy. You hijack their conversation. So these all of these 3 are problematic. When you have this kind of conversation style, then of course it's not going to go well. Your partner or another person who is sharing this news will not be happy. The best one is called active constructive. In other words, joy multiplier. So somebody tells you, oh, you enjoy, oh, how about this, how did you do that, anything. But I think here the practice is, the culture is that you do that whether you feel or not, somehow trained, especially when it comes to gifts. When somebody gives you a gift, so in the West, you must open it and then say, Ray, wow, what a wonderful, wow, so great, and this and that. But Tibetan culture is not, because if you open the gift in front of the gift giver, it is considered very rude. So we don't open in front of them. We just collect, thank you, and keep it. And then when the person leaves, we open. So there's nobody, oh, wow, this, there's no such thing. So one time in Malaysia, somebody came and offered me a gift. So being not exposed, I wasn't exposed to this tradition. Being that a Tibetan, having this brought up with Tibetan culture. So I just thanked him and kept it there. And he continued staying there and talking about and came and talking to me. Obviously, he wanted me to open, look in and what it is, and then, of course, make positive remarks. But I didn't know that. And he kept continuing saying there and, keep pointing to give and all that. I think he gave up. And finally, he just said, can you open the gift? So, then I realized, so I said, open up, and there's a small statue there. So, oh, great, thank you. So I don't know where that style falls in this for. Yeah, but always to be to adopt that first or the last one, active constructive. When somebody shares, you give your full attention. You participate in that conversation. You don't lose anything, but the other person will be much happier. You don't do anything extra, but it can make the other person very happy. This way, it can also improve or strengthen one's relationship with whoever that is. So I thought that maybe, we should be mindful how we respond. Okay, now let's get back to where are we now? Okay. So we already talked about the first one. I mean, before this one. Do you remember what was that one? Lama nyen la sokpa tang she la nyoba che nam la. So Shantideva is now going one by one, list by list, how we normally, ordinary people, justify our anger. So Shantideva talked about, so one of our reason to get angry is when the other person, or what we call the enemy, cause harm to our teachers, our relatives, our friends, those who belong to our inner circle. We get angry. So the reason is that they cause harm to these people whom I consider my friends and family. So that's when Shantideva said that in such situation, we need to contemplate on the reasons given before, how things come to existence or being by just the virtue of coming together of all the causes and the conditions. So when we think that way, then we will be able to kind of what you call reduce our anger. So this basically is saying about the this I'm talking about this first one. Let's see whether I can get that. This one. Spiritual master, relatives and friends, instead I should see as in the manner shown before, that such things arise from conditions. So here in the commentary it highlighted that so sometimes we justify our actions, especially violent actions, because that other person caused harm to your religion, your religious belief, those holy images. Even for Buddhists, like causing harm to Sangha community, destroying monasteries, destroying holy images. So he said these are not what you call basis or the good reason to get angry. All this, when we see all this, when we encounter all this, instead of getting angry, we have to think about, reflect on this in the manner shown before, that such things arise from conditions. Now we go to the next one. So now Shantideva is analyzing the harm itself, the nature of harm. So the reason why we are angry is that it causes harm, it causes injury to us. So you say, if that is the reason, then he says, Lujin namla semyo da semyo nige no chena, semyo chide karde kun tewe noba sobrajis. Since embodied creatures are injured by both animate beings and inanimate objects, why only bear malice to the animate? It follows that I should patiently accept all harms. So if our reason for getting angry is the injury or the harm that is inflicted on us, then it says that the harm is caused both by inanimate objects and animate beings. So it's not just one thing. If stone hurts, actual injury, actual pain is caused by that stone or that stick or that sword or rifle, bullet, whatever. So if your reason is the harm or the pain or injury, then we cannot discriminate between the two. If you are angry at the person, then you should equally be angry at the inanimate objects. So if you don't want to get angry, if you want to tolerate, then say, likewise, you should be patient equally patient with both. You cannot single out one over other because they are equally responsible for your pain. Now this is about the both situations. One who is getting angry or one who is causing harm. It says both are at fault. Lala mungbe nyeba che, lala mungde chö gyuru na, tela gyume kangi cha, gyunda che de kangshi yins. So normally when we get angry, should one person ignorantly do wrong and another ignorantly become angry with him, who would be at fault and who would be without fault? When we look from our perspective or our lens, we see that other person is at fault. The one who is causing us harm is at fault. We are faultless. They shouldn't be causing this harm to me. They are at fault. I am faultless. So that's what we view, and that's how we feel justified to get even with the other person. So this line is saying that should one person ignorantly do wrong, the other person who is causing us harm is also ignorant. He or she doesn't realize that causing harm will eventually bring harm, suffering, pain to himself or herself. So in that sense, that person is also ignorant. And on the other hand, us, who is the recipient of all that harm or injury, we also, when we respond likewise, it says we are also driven by ignorance. We also fail to realize that responding likewise will result in more suffering, more pain. So when you look from that perspective, we both are at fault. So you cannot really point to the other person of being at fault. You yourself is at fault. So he said there's no difference. So who would be at fault and who would be without fault? Both the harm giver and the recipient are at fault. None of us are faultless. Clear, yeah? So now we can come up with another kind of defense, saying that, oh yeah, I know that, we are both driven by ignorance. But I didn't do anything. I was just minding my own business. And this thing came up and, said this and caused me harm. It says here, it says that, Kangi shenda nyo chebe, ledi ngunje chichir che. Tamje lela ra lena, tagi teda chidi guns. Why did I previously commit those actions, because of which others now cause me harm? Since everything is related to my actions, why should I bear malice towards these enemies? So we feel that we didn't do anything. He just, out of blue, without my provocation, I didn't provoke this thing. Without provocation, my provocation, this person caused me harm. So Shantideva is not That is not true. Ultimately, it is us who created the karma. So because of our karma, we are now experiencing this harm. Because of our negative karma in the past, that person is giving us harm, causing us undesirable experiences. So if we don't want to, so on the other, the point here is that if we don't want to experience such unpleasant experiences, then what must we do?
Purify our downfalls and do positive actions.
Yeah. We must exhaust our negative karma. So whatever we have committed in the past, there's only one remedy, is to exhaust if we don't want to experience. But just simply doing purification is not enough. We must put an end. We must stop creating new karma. If we continue creating new karma, then there's not much difference, isn't it? On the one hand, in Tibetan we have something called Kangje Laksup. Kangje Laksup. What does that mean in English? There must be a phrase. Kangje Laksup. So you are trying to, let's say, having a fingerprint or footprint somewhere there, and then you are wiping that. As you are doing, you are wiping it off with your hands. Do you get it?
You keep creating your print.
Kangji Laozu means you wanted to do something. You are doing it. Your foot or feet is doing all that print. But at the same time, your hand is wiping it off. So you will never get the print, isn't it, if you want to have footprint? Because your hand is wiping it. It's like, how do you put it?
You're negating the cause, you keep cancelling out.
Cancelling out. You're cancelling out. Like some people, yeah, when they are mopping, the way they mop is like, let's say if you started to mop this way instead of this way. So you started to mop this way, you already mopped that area, but you are stepping on it. So whatever you cleared is being cancelled out by your footprints. Is there a similar phrase in English? So anyway, so my point is that if we fail to put a break on creating new karma, in other words, if we continue getting angry over little things, then no matter how diligently and frequently we engage in purification practices, it is the same thing. Kangje Laksup. You purify one, you create another one, it always replenishes. It's like the 5-star buffet, isn't it? They always replenish. Yeah, so that I think that's the point here. Why should I bear malice towards these enemies? Because I am the cause. I created all this. So the other person is not responsible. I am accountable. I am responsible.
I met an elder monk once who had lost his voice when the communist army invaded Tibet because he was injured, and he told us how they tortured him they put barbed wire around his neck, and they dragged him across the field. So the barbed wire punctured his voice box, so that's why he couldn't have any sound coming on his voice box. And so when he was telling the story, one of the students says, "How did you feel at that time? Did you feel any compassion for this soldier that was doing that?" And this old monk is really amazing. He's very kind, face about him. And he said, "But why should I be angry at the soldier? I created the cause for this experience. The soldier was only a condition. If it's not this soldier, it will be some other soldier or some other person that is doing it to me. So there's no reason to be angry at the soldier." So that was so he bore no malice.
Yeah.
Because he saw the soldier as a condition, and the real cause is what he's done in the past. So that was very impressive.
Yeah. So that's where we're supposed to get to. That's our destination.
Try dragging me barbed wire.
Yeah. Our destination is there. To get there. But these are the, as you see, Bodhicaryavatara, which is the way of life of bodhisattvas. So if we think that we are bodhisattvas, this is the way how to live your life. When you encounter all kinds of adversaries, that's the attitude we should adopt. So now, 대다르 통내 진해장 탐제 펜순 장심수 규르바 대다르 다기니 소놈 달라 timde chas. So now Shantideva is saying that after contemplating all the things, after considering all that points that Shantideva has raised, we must come to a conclusion, or we have to resolve to do this. When I have seen this to be so, I should strive for what is meritorious, in order to certainly bring about loving thoughts between all. So after considering all this, so instead when we encounter such situations, instead of getting angry, Shantideva is saying that we should develop love and compassion for others. We should have this aspiration that how wonderful if everybody can live like the best friends, where there is no iota or no trace of hatred or anger at each other. Instead, have this compassion and love. So all this must begin from aspiration. We need to make prayers. We need to aspire, not only for yourself, for others. And I think what is beneficial is, what is helpful is when you make this dedication that when I encounter such situation, may I be able to generate love and compassion. So preceded by such thoughts and prayers and aspirations, then you try to work towards developing or cultivating love and compassion. So compassion is wishing others to be free from suffering. Love is the other side, wishing others to have happiness and the causes of happiness. So these two. So we know that the main antidote to anger is love and loving compassion. Love and compassion. So can you see why it is the direct antidote? How is that?
The antidote to your own anger.
Mm.
Well, because what you're directing your thoughts to is the welfare and the happiness of others rather than to harming them.
Mm.
It's the antithesis of that. What you're doing is just exactly the opposite.
Mm.
I'm not sure I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
Well, this reminds me of mother's love for children.
Mm.
When they have so much of love, it kind of expands and just makes it more open.
Mm.
And I think the response to that's why I think parents are so accepting, even though the children make a lot of mistake, or they're more accepting of their faults or whatever.
Mm.
The ideal would be we would do the same with everyone. So that, we can be more open.
Yeah. So I think the step to develop compassion. What are the steps? There are two methods. Yeah. The sevenfold
cause of effect and
equalizing. So in the seven, what are the seven or the six causes?
Okay. Recognizing all sentient beings as your mothers. I'm going to miss one. Recognizing their kindness.
Repaying the kindness.
Marshi Tinte.
Repaying that you should repay their kindness.
Sense of endearment.
Love and endearment.
Then compassion.
Compassion. And the result is Bodhicitta.
Yeah.
But I missed one.
Yeah. So remember, I have repeatedly mentioned this. So there are two ways to develop bodhicitta. So both ways, they merge at one point, which is to develop sense of endearment. So with sense of endearment, then you can have the what is that? Ningji. Then you will have compassion. With that compassion, you will have this resolve, and then finally compassion. Finally, bodhicitta. So, what is sense of endearment? So, sense of endearment is whoever you have this strong love. It could be your children, it could be your parents, it could be your partner. So, when you have that person there, what is your the emotion or the feeling or the attitude towards them? When something tiny happens to that person, you become this feeling of unbearable feeling. You cannot bear to see that person suffer even a tiniest unpleasant experience. And then on the other hand, you wish that person to have all the good things, all the happiness in the world. You have that kind of the attitude, or what you call. So that is what is called the sense of endearment. So at the moment, our sense of endearment is only limited to certain people. Could be one person, two person, or maybe a group of people, but not to all sentient beings. So when we are able to develop that kind of sense of endearment to all sentient beings, then compassion automatically arises. Because that is the attitude. You wanted everything, they are free, wanted free them to free. So compassion is focusing on their pain and suffering. So when you see their pain and suffering, you genuinely want them to be free from all that. With that, you will realize that, of course, in Mahayana, that I have the responsibility. I have to take the responsibility. And then, at the moment, I don't have the capability. When do I get that ability? when I become enlightenment. So that's why we say that in order to help them, I need to become Buddha. So that is Bodhicitta. So when you have that kind of sense of, you don't need to have this compassion, even just having that sense of endearment, you will be able to thaw or melt your hatred and anger. It's like fire and water, cannot have both. You have one, the other has to make way.
I wanted your view on this. I'm not sure it's from a text or whether it's just somebody's comment. And it went like this. The sevenfold cause and effect are suited for those who are naturally very strong in faith, whereas the exchanging of self for others are more suited for those who are brave. Because, you know, the first one, you've got to have faith that your enemy was your mother in the past. So that's how this statement. What do you think of that?
No, it is in the text.
Oh, is
It is. I mean, the text even used it like this. So we have these disciples whose level of intelligence varies. Those who are on that high intelligence is for those who have superior intelligence, is the exchanging in oneself is recommended. And those who are dull like me, then yeah, that's seven cause and effect, yeah.
because it's very hard to see the enemy as a kind person. You know, he's really very demanding. So it seems like the other one is the easier one.
Yeah. Okay. 대다르 통네 진행장 편 탐제 편준 참선수 교와 대다르 타게네 소남 달라 팀데 차스. Yeah. I should strive for, and then it says that certainly bring about loving thoughts between all. First it says I should strive for what is meritorious. So this love and compassion and all this, in order to develop, you need the backing of your merit. So it says that in order for me to successfully develop compassion and love for all sentient beings, I will engage in meritorious actions. I will do virtue so that I have enough merits to to support my strive towards cultivating love and compassion. So there are two things in there. First, you resolve to generate or cultivate love and compassion, and then whatever is required, whatever work and effort we need to put into that, we are also making the same determination that we will do so. Are you?
Trying.
You mentioned two things. So can you
One
repeat that again for me?
One is making this resolve to cultivate compassion and love. The second is to engage, to do merits to health in cultivation of these two. Pena kimzi gyurbe means so this is pena kimzi gyurbe me kimshin shigdo songne ni tsaso kanla che cheba deni chungde towa rik tishin kanla semchana shedan meni che gyurba sunam tsikpara toba yi deni deyi myola torus. So this is about distancing ourselves from attachment. Is about developing a detachment towards our friends, relatives, our loved ones. So we saw from the earlier verses that one of the reasons why we get angry and violent actions because of anger is our attachment to our loved ones. So now Shantideva is trying to eliminate that excuse as well. Because they're causing harm to my loved ones, so I must defend. So my anger towards them is justifiable. So Shantideva is now tackling that defense. So Shantideva uses this analogy. For example, when a fire in one house has moved into another house, it is right to get rid of straws and such things that will cause the fire to spread. Easy to understand, isn't it? So if there is a fire somewhere, and if your neighbor's house is on fire, what will you do? For most of us, what we'll do? We will try to take out all the precious things, isn't it? Money, gold, ornament, all the precious things. But Shantideva says, whatever it can easily catch fire, we will leave other precious things which are dear to us. But instead, what we will do is, the right thing to do is to remove anything that is inflammable, so that if we remove all this, there is a less likelihood that the fire will not catch up easily. So we abandon other things, even though how dear it is, we will just throw away or something. So likewise, when the fire of a hatred spreads to whatever my mind is attached to, I should immediately get rid of it for fear of my merit being burned. So here, so the analogy goes like this. So let me just list. So here, our merit is likened to our precious items, which we are going to let go. And then the fire is likened to anger, hatred, anger. And then those inflammable straws, woods, whatever it is, likened to our loved ones. So here the main point is in that because of our attachment to our loved ones, we commit negative actions such as anger. So seeing that these are the causes of burning our merits, because when you get angry, it will burn our merits. So our attachment towards this, our loved ones, seeing that, let me rephrase, seeing that our attachment to our loved ones can bring about anger and thereby destroy our merits, we should reduce attachment to our loved ones.
So the it is actually the attachment, not the object of attachment. I should immediately get rid of it. So the it is
attachment,
rather
yeah.
than because you can't get rid of family.
Yeah, you cannot. No, attachment, you have to get attachment.
The it is attachment.
Let go of the attachment towards.
Okay.
So now the question now is, how to love without attachment? What do you think? Is it possible?
It's possible.
It depends on the word love and our meaning of that. Because I think love a lot of times comes with an expectation. Or I love because she's pretty. rather than just
Mm.
love as a pure,
Mm.
unattached.
So I would think of it in terms of grasping.
Mm.
If you grasp at someone, this person, I need this person to be my person, mine, and to want me, and to grasp at that. That's the thing that causes the problem, and it's not the wanting them to be happy or wanting to remove their suffering or engaging and being with them, feeling closeness. It's the grasping part that causes the problem.
For
Yeah.
me, how I feel it's possible to
Mhm.
love without attachment if we keep remembering impermanence. I mean, end of life will happen. I mean, as an example, end of life will happen, and then we get used to the idea that, you know, of course you cherish while they're here, but there will be a time where they won't. I feel that reduces
Yeah, of
the
course.
attachment. I don't think it cures it, of course, but it reduces the attachment.
Yeah. So I think easier way is to those whom you have kids. So you love your kids. So are you attached to them? How can you love your kids without attachment? Does it mean that when we say not attached, whatever happens to them, let it happen? That kind of, what is that called? Indifference. Does it mean indifference? Yeah. Then how? Buddha loves us, no question. Everyone. But Buddha has no attachment to us.
I think it's in a way, it's kind of a dance. From the moment a child is born, the child begins to move away from the mother, and of course the father is, there as well. But as a child grows, the child gains more capability to move on their own and live their own life. And you can either grasp at them and suffocate them, or you can let them grow. But then you have to let go of them to do that. And the reward is their joy of life and the joy of watching them grow and become independent and seeing them live their own life. But that's not an easy thing to do. It's difficult to do, and some parents grasp very strongly onto their children.
How about you of course care and do all kinds of things for your children. So when they don't respond likewise in kind, do you get disappointed? Do you get angry?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe there is this element of attachment there. So if you are able to, you do your side, whatever, it's like love without expectation. So you are able to do that. Maybe there is less attachment. At the moment, yeah. How come I did all this to you and you don't show any gratitude, isn't it? How dare you say this to me? I'm your mother, I'm your father. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, this one thing about how to love without attachment.
Well, from the other side, having a parent who is very grasping helps me understand how it doesn't help in the big picture. But then I emulate that my mother's same grasping on my children. And I have to step back to realize, to think, oh, why am I trying to control? So love without control, and what Kim said, love without grasping. It's by thinking of the consequence. Is it really helpful, or is it just for me? Because our mind, we can convince ourselves we're doing good, but until we really think about what the consequences are.
Yeah. Okay, you continue thinking on this. How can we do that? Okay, I think it's break time, is it? Okay, let's break. Yeah. In the meantime, you can read this as well.
That's
I had
really
to beat
funny.
you to it.
That's funny.
So how long do you plan to be in the U.S.? From January to who knows?
Being a smarty pants.
Oh.
That's just hot water. Yeah. She took a lot of patience and tea, so just go ahead.
It's a very good question, though, how to have love without attachment. And it's so easy, like somebody was saying, where you think you're doing it for their, I think you were saying, you're doing it to help them. Set a boundary, don't get angry. It's,
The other part is,
yeah.
that's what I'm asking you to do, so you do it.
I tried that with my son because we work together sometimes, and I realized that I try to set a boundary with him. But if I say it when I'm still very angry, he'll just react. But if I can say it more calmly, like you were saying, just wait half a day before you Yeah. No, I can't eat carbohydrates. Yeah. I should probably eat this, but I'll eat it.
I think all that, sometimes with the kids, they test your limit.
Yeah.
That's when it comes like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're the kid, you don't know anything about it.
So that's why there's two parents, because one sometimes helps the other. One parent has patience, the other doesn't. But we also learned that it's best never argue in front of the children, because they need to see the parents. Yeah. Oh. But in the moment, when you're right in that moment, it really is true. Like if you can, I'll still get angry, but I'll catch myself slope with grease. You can't stop it. My wife also has anger issues.
Is that why you are so calm?
I think so. No, it's true.
So Kent, you live close by?
Downside of that.
Oakland Park.
Also, you know,
Oh, okay. So not that
people
far.
choose each other as office.
But you know, I'm Drupa Rinpoche.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
don't do it.
Because I'm the closest to them.
There's
Oh,
still
yeah.
lots of hidden anger outside. Oh yeah. But you know, from the outside, oh yeah,
So it's a little bit of drive to go get them. And
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
and stay. Not too bad.
all
Some of the people we thought would be here seem to be elsewhere today.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder how long the person that sits in that seat again, because that's where Jocelyn used to sit. She used to like to sit in the front.
Oh, yeah. Probably. Yeah. Sometimes I guess comfort of room is easier to
Really? Wow.
Baby one was pretty cute. And
it falls on my weekend work, but it's always nice to be able to attend the.
So you work a lot of weekends?
I work the other weekend, so it falls on the weekend that I'm working. So like today I'm working, but then I'm working the evening, so that helps.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you could be here.
Yeah. So you retired now?
Yeah, I'm retired. It's been going on 10 years. End of October.
10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, what happened was that there was a series of layoffs, and in one of the layoffs I got caught up. And I wanted to work a couple more years before I retired.
Yeah.
But the severance package was really good. So I figured out the finances and figured out how to work it out so I could retire. So after about 3 years, I did some contract work for a little while. And I just discovered really quickly I didn't want to do it anymore. It was nice to feel like I still had some skills and things that were useful to people, but on the other hand, I was having trouble keeping myself engaged, and so I stopped. And retirement is kind of an interesting thing. First of all, some people don't retire because they really love what they're doing and they like keep doing it. And some people retire with a plan. One of my projects, like me, he's an engineer, but he did a lot of design work, so he did things like build a ski tester. He spent a lot of time on that. He did some other projects like that, which is what he wanted to keep himself busy with. And some people, at least early in their retirements, they throw themselves into travel. If they have the funds to do that, and some throw themselves into volunteering, things of that sort. Some people find they end up going back and doing work, some sort of work, because they really like that. They have that sort of discipline in their schedule. But they're no longer required to be there.
Yeah.
Stop if they want to.
Yeah.
So,
That's always nice.
it's different for different people. That works out.
What happens is it's all the cells.
Yeah, but it's always nice that you have that, company that you can.
Stays in the bloodstream.
Yeah, sometimes, I usually have a wife who's still looking. I will be for a while.
Yeah.
So, it was I believe I had appreciated this little piece because my oldest brother
Yeah.
and his schedule and his schedule, lots of work and lots of different things going on. Lots of teaching. And so I got laid off and I was like, I'll try.
Everything's good.
It's really nice not to have
Sugar.
that. It's very good to be like that.
It's a good thing. I didn't find out.
strange time right now. You know, in everywhere. I think it's I mean, there's a lot of. I think what I feel is, you know, many years ago, there's a lot of structure in the work area. Now it's like, you know, there's more chaos. I think. I mean, at least at the hospital, I feel like, you know, there isn't that the previous structure and